This time I've got a Pioneer VSX-522 AV receiver, and according to the customer, it has standby power, but it will not turn on. So in other words, it's dead, but standby is working. I'm starting to see a pattern here with Pioneers. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. Good chance his part's blown up on this one. Let's check it out and see what's wrong. So let's first of all see if this one powers up. I understand the fault on this is that it does not power up. And it doesn't. No power up on this one. I'm wondering if maybe we have a blown output or blown amplifier in it and it's gone into lockdown. Start these ones up. Usually you hold down 2 keys. Let's see if I can just hold down a couple of keys together and see if I can get it to power up like that other Pioneer. I don't know the key sequence to reset the unit, so I'm trying multiple keys. Eventually, I should figure out which 2 keys will reset the unit. Oh, it just kicked on and shut off. Band and advanced surround. That is what resets this thing. Okay. Something just went pop. You heard that. When I forced it on, something went pop. Let's pull the top. Okay, here's a look down into the top of it. Turned on and then off again. So obviously there's a problem somewhere in the amplifier. We'll take a look and see if there's any obvious bad connections or any transistors and stuff that are blown. Something did spark. I saw a spark. I heard a pop the first time I turned it on, the second time. So something obviously on this board has a problem. Let's get to pull the amp board out in order to investigate them, seeing how this one comes apart. These units are not the easiest ones in the world to work on because of how they're built. I should be able to remove this whole entire board. I think. I don't know what type of slack I'm going to have, but I may have enough slack that I can remove the board if I take the screws out from the bottom. I see the elevator repairman was at my neighbor's place up the street. So I wonder if he's having trouble with his new elevator already. Yes, my neighbor 2 doors away has an elevator. Must be nice. Actually, I guess they're quite common around here because houses cost so much money that people figure, okay, well, if we're spending that kind of money on building a house, we might as well build a nice house and put an elevator in it. A couple more screws that go on the side here on each side to hold the heatsink in place. That one's out. Another board on this side that's screwed down. I don't know what these boards are for other than to hold the wires. They certainly don't appear to do anything else other than hold those wires in place. Same with this one. This should lift out now. I just have to clear some space to move some wires out of the way. Looks like I could unplug this board relatively easily from the rest of the unit. At least some of these connectors plug in. But I can actually flip the entire board over for testing, which is something you can't do on a lot of them. Okay, this is the side that the flash seemed to flash from the bottom. So these connections here, like this one, they don't look too good, do they? Yeah, check these transistors out with the good old fluke meter. See if we get any shorted outputs. That one's shorted. That one's shorted. That one's not shorted. Okay, that one's okay. So it looks like two of the outputs are shorted. These ones here. These ones are popped. I'll disconnect these transistors. Which channel is this for? Front left. Front left, surround left, center, surround right, front right. So the front left amplifier, the transistors are shot. We'll just disconnect them first and just see what they are, and whether I might have some kicking around. Let me get my iron warmed up here. These ones here look like I could remove them without pulling this whole heat sink apart too, because they've got holes right through here that I can unscrew them once I unsolder, which is always nice to be able to take things apart without having to do an excessive amount of work, because to get that board out to do any work on anything else requires removing all the screws and all the transistors. In theory, when these are disconnected, I should be able to put the unit on in, turn it on, and not have it go into shutdown mode. So those are the two transistors disconnected. We'll test them while they're disconnected from the rest of the unit. Verify that they are shorted. Shorted, shorted, shorted every which way. Emitter to collector. So those two are shot. I'll see whether the unit will power up. Oh, that would turn it on. Okay. Okay, I got the MC accessory on now. But no display. Okay, it's turning on. I hear a relay clicking. That'll be a display on the front here. My display has gone out. But it's not going into shutdown mode now. Dimmer. The unit's turned on. I got a display light on the front here. Well, I don't have the display, but I have the MCACC, whatever that means. If I hit the speaker button, you can hear the speakers clicking. Don't have any sound because I don't have anything plugged into it, but my display is on. And my display did come on initially. So I'm just going to check some voltages and make sure that all the voltages are getting there. So we get some regulators down here. Minus 12. Okay, it's a minus 12 volt regulator. This one here is a 12 volt regulator. And what is this one? This should be a 5 volt. That's a 5 volt regulator. So that's working. So the regulators are working and passing power to the set itself. So why is my display not working at this point? Weird. I had a display the first time I reset it, I had a display. But it shut down because of shorted output transistors. Output transistors are disconnected, but I don't have a display now. The unit's turned on, but I have no display. It appears to be the ribbon cable. I just kind of touched it. It feels like there might be a damaged section right here on one of the traces. I just happened to push it, like squeeze it, and it came on. Okay, the display is lit up now. Let's just try putting this on a radio station and I'll hook up a pair of speakers or hook up one speaker to it. Where's tuner? TV, CD, tuner. Let's see if I can tune something in. Buttons aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing either. I think our buttons are dirty, our switches are dirty on here as well, because I pushed the tuning down and it's going up. And now the dimmer just dimmed by itself. Speakers off. See, now the dimmer's working. Speakers on. Speakers off. See if I can get this thing to I think some of our buttons on here are also dirty. There we go. Now I can get it to work. Just push it extra hard. Okay, 87.5. I'm going to hook up an antenna. I'll hook up a single speaker to the right channel. See if we've got sound. Okay, antenna's hooked up. One channel works. So we have bad outputs on this unit, among other things like switches that are doing weird things. But let's just see what these transistors are that this one needs. And I don't know whether it's going to be beyond that or whether it's just those transistors that are popped. Whether the drivers are okay or not. That, I don't know. But let's just see first of all what the transistors are that this one requires. USB 1560. I doubt that I've got those. Those don't sound familiar. And 2SD 2390. 2SB 1560, 2SD 2390. So these two transistors sub over to an NTE 2649 and an NTE 2650. I don't know whether I can get those locally or not, or what they cost, but I can certainly inquire about that when the parts place is open again. What I can do to verify is also a resistor here. It's open. It looks like a 100 ohm resistor, as all the channels have a 100 ohm resistor on it. 100 ohms. 100 ohms. This is probably the one that popped or flashed when I fired it up. 204K. So there's a 100 ohm resistor that's gone open. And the other ones that are popped as well at it. These are 0.4. That one's open too. As is that one. So there's two resistors that are popped. These two are actually three resistors that are popped. These three resistors here are popped. These two measure okay. I'm curious as to whether the driver transistor is also bad on here. So we can check the drivers out. Looks okay. Looks like it could be a bit bad too. But we have to pull the board to test some of these. I mean, if I have to get into these transistors anyway, the board's going to have to get pulled. And probably do the resistors without pulling the board. I should be able to get under here, or pull the board and just bend it down. That's another thing, just bend the heat sink, or bend the leads without having to take all the transistors out to replace them all. At least this board I can unplug. But first things first, I'll have to price out the transistors and even see if they're available, because a lot of these transistors are not available anymore, just because that's the way things are, right? And you can always, I guess, go to eBay and hope like hell you don't get fakes, but that seems to be what is out there, and I won't participate in eBay. Another option would be if a fellow that owns this just wanted to use it as a stereo receiver, could take transistors out of the working side and make it work, or find a receiver that I can salvage some parts from. I've gone through some of the ones that I've got here, and they don't have the same transistors. But got three resistors that are cooked right here on this channel. These three are cooked for sure. And these two output transistors. Drivers seem to measure okay at this point. At least the ones I've checked. I'm just comparing them to other transistors on the other channels, because the 5 channels are essentially identical. See, that measures okay. And this one here, 0.7, 0.7, over to this one. these transistors, these are all measuring okay. I think it's just the output transistors and these 3 resistors that are bad. I was hoping I was going to be able to find some replacements, but these are Darlington transistors, which means that they're basically 2 transistors and a resistor in the package. That's why there's no driver transistors, right? It's wondering, why are there no big drivers? These are pre-drivers here. Well, that's because the driver transistor is actually part of the output. So I'm going to have to try to find either the originals or the ECG replacements. I'm not going to be probably able to do that for a few days. The guy that owns this has already left me a deposit for parts, so we will be proceeding with getting the parts for this. If I can find some, I'm going to look for them, and I'll say I won't be able to get into the parts departments if there's any locally available. Probably won't be any locally available, but I'll certainly check and see. If I can get them local, I can probably get them next week. Otherwise, I may have to order them in, and we might be waiting a while for it. So I'm going to end this video now because I don't know when I'm going to be getting back on this one again, but this is one that we will pick up at a future date, and we'll see if we can get this one to run. So until then, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.